Beck Lover.
Welcome to another episode of Interesting Times right here on the Beck Lover Podcast, where I cover everything that's going on in the world. And today was definitely a very interesting day, especially in the healthcare world. But it was a very unhealthy day for a CEO on top of one of the biggest healthcare companies in the country. And I don't find it to be a fishy one. I'm going to be diving into what happened today in Midtown, New York. I actually worked in the building that he was assassinated in front of. I'm very familiar with the terrain there. We're going to break this down and what may have actually happened. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because I cover all the fire, the heat, what happens in the real world, what happens in the interdimensional world. I always take things from a spiritual perspective when I analyze world events and what might be coming our way for all of us. Also want to announce we're in the top 5% of all podcasts on Spotify. I just got my year-end review. I want to thank all of you that have been watching on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble as we continue to expand and wrap out this year a lot better than we started it. 5 years in the works, and every day there's more and more of you tuning in, and I am grateful for you, and I thank you for your support. Let's get down into this today. Very interesting. For those of you that don't know, the Hilton Midtown is the largest hotel in New York City. The Hilton Midtown is also where President Trump received his presidential nominee. You know, when he became president the first time, that's actually where he had his acceptance, his victory speech. It's a massive hotel in the heart of Midtown, New York City. It's on 54th Street and 6th Avenue. It's right across the street from Rockefeller Plaza, a couple blocks to the entrance of Central Park, 57th Street, which is Billionaires Row. It's an extremely busy place. Fox News is literally a block away. They have one of their main studios there. On the corner is where the Halal Guys, if you have that franchise, that chopped gyro meat over rice, that's where their original location is, a cart that was producing $20 million a year at one point until Adele's kind of stepped in and 2 blocks over kind of did some serious damage to the Halal Guys. But I don't want to get sidetracked here. I went in and out of that building for about 3 years. I used to work for the Hilton Grand Vacations in New York City, West 57th Street portfolio. In the Hilton Midtown, where this assassination happened, you have tons of hotel rooms, and then there's a couple of floors that are actually larger. They're like apartments. That's their timeshare floors. And I used to work in sales, selling some of the most expensive timeshare in the world. It's kind of how I learned how to get this mouth. It wasn't from the timeshare world, but I refined my skills because it's one of the hardest things in the world to do without lying. And a lot of timeshare people, they don't do things the right way, in my opinion. But I'm very proud of my career in that industry. About 8 years, I did very well, never had a complaint. If you're watching me and you're one of my customers, you can attest that I did things the right way with talent. There's a lot of people that make money in that game, and in my opinion, and I'm not saying Hilton or any company, but just in general, there's certain companies out there that gave the reputation to that industry that it has today. I'm glad I wasn't a part of that. I walked out of there very happy. But now, someone who didn't walk out of that building. Now, I used to work in the penthouse. Literally on the top floor is a beautiful sales gallery. The views of Central Park are amazing up there. So that's where my office was. I forgot what floor it was. It was all the way at the top, 50-something floors or however high it was. I forgot. The top of that building was my office for several years. Shout out to the people from Hilton that are still there. We had to move on to bigger and better things in life. We had to become bosses. We couldn't take orders anymore. But I thank you for the run that I had in that building. I have a lot of good memories, and I made a lot of money. And it was a fun career. I'm not going to lie. It was a fun job, but let's get down to it. You ready? United HealthCare CEO Brian Thompson, was whacked. There's no other way. This was whacked. This was clearly a professional. This is clearly some type of mercenary or hitman. The question's why. And we're gonna kind of come up with some scenarios of why. I have my own theory on why this guy lost his life. But there's no doubt in anyone's mind that's seen the pictures, seen the surveillance video, I got it all here, that this was a professional hit. Okay? This was a professional hit. This is not a game. We're in an industry that's involved with the government, billions and billions of dollars, contracts. Maybe things weren't so kosher. Maybe things were about to come out with this new administration coming in. I told you you're going to be seeing crazy things these next few months. This is definitely wild. If you really sit there and piece the puzzle together, everything that's happened in healthcare and since 2019, when everything got shut down and a lot of games that were played, it's all coming to the surface. What is in the darkness, may God bring it to the light. May God give the American people a chance to see the truth of the world and the country that they've been living in and the people that have been in some of the most powerful positions, not only in government, but in corporations, which sometimes even yield more power than governments because they have the resources, like umbrella companies. When you watch the movie, I forgot what it was called, the video game, Miljovic, I forgot the name. In any event, let's do this because this is going to be a quick episode today, but it's going to be a good one. The man wanted for fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Wednesday morning was spotted inside a nearby Starbucks before killing his target, police said. And there's a Starbucks right on the corner in that area. I used to go there once in a while. I haven't drank Starbucks in years, and many of you know why. I don't support certain things that are going on in the world, and no bucks for that. Sorry. We're on Dunkin' now. America runs on Dunkin', and Dunkin' runs on Indians, if you haven't figured that out. America runs on Dunkin' Donuts. Now it's called Dunkin', and Dunkin' runs on Indians. They got a monopoly on that. It's just the fact. It's nothing crazy, and more power to them, and, you know. The NYPD released a new photo of the hooded suspect standing in front of the counter at the Starbucks at West 56th Street and 6th Avenue, just minutes away from the Hilton Hotel where he gunned down Thompson. Now, I've been against the whole covering thing, but it is winter, and it doesn't look like, you know, the medical stuff. So it's like hard. People, you know, we wear this sometimes in New York when it gets really cold. We'll put the North Face on. So he doesn't look sus, as they say. He doesn't look like a suspect. You could tell this guy's military age, definitely trained. I'm going to play a little bit of the video without too much graphic. And this guy's well-stocked. This guy's definitely military trained. There's no doubt about it. This was a hit. This was a hit straight out of a film, straight out of a movie, from the movements to the way he did it, to making sure he did it. I mean, it was straight out of The Godfather, bro. Okay, but even better than The Godfather. This guy was a pro. I mean, just look at it. So it's just crazy to me that, you know, this is on the surveillance camera. I've walked down these streets, man, for years. There's a little lounge that has pretty good food. You know, a lot of my coworkers would go. It's called Faces and Names. You have, like I said, it's a very busy area to pull off something like this. You got to know that you're going to get away with it. You know, that your odds are going to be very high. You got to be very cool, calm, and collected. Most amateurs would have been nervous. They would have been. This guy was stone cold when I watched the video. Stone cold. It was not immediately clear how long the gunman, who has yet to be identified, was at the Starbucks. Officials said that firing at Thompson multiple times with bullets striking his back and right calf, the gunman quickly fled the scene on foot. He was then spotted mounting an E-City bike on 6th Avenue and disappearing into Central Park. Wild, bro. Listen, there's cameras all over Manhattan. And I wonder how far they're going to be able to trace it. But once he's in Central Park, guess what happens? What's in that book bag? Change of outfit. The thing comes off. He's in the woods where there's probably no cameras. He changes real quick. Goes into a bathroom. Whatever comes out, done. Or trees, whatever. That's why he went to Central Park, because all the other places, there's surveillance cameras everywhere. This guy knew what he was doing. There's no doubt about it. If we look at the map here, at 6:44 a.m., the victim is walking alone towards the New York Hilton. The shooter, who was lying in wait alongside the building, fires at him. Shooter then runs to alleyway between 54th Street and 55th. And there's these like there's these parts of the side streets where there's literally like hallways built into the building. So you can like cross through the middle of these avenues. It's very common in that area. There's like a 4-block radius where there's basically like a hallway that goes, it's outdoors. Some of them are indoors. And you can go through side streets without having to go to the avenue and then walk up. It's just wild. Shooter rides north on 6th Avenue towards Central Park at 6:48 a.m. The shooter rides the bike into Center Drive. This guy knew where he was going to be. This guy had it all planned out. This guy was a pro. Unreal. Now, on X, okay, this is some of the images here. I'm going to leave it like this for obvious reasons. My man's walking. He just rolls up. Poop, poop, poop. Very calm. This guy has no idea that he's taking his last steps in life. 1, 2, 3, into the 4. Here comes the end of your life, and you are no more. And I don't say it to be funny, but we live in interesting times, my friends. You never know what's going to happen. And a lot of people out there are in danger from things like this happening to them when they know too much or they say too much against certain people, against certain groups, against certain organizations. That's why those of you that are in the comfort of your home watching these videos, when you see these podcasters, people like Joe Rogan, regardless if you agree with people's views like Miss Owens, Mr. Blazarian, regardless if you agree, these people, in my opinion, their lives are in risk. My opinion. I think that they have definitely played with some very dangerous wasp nests. And I got to think that they would be scared to see something like this. If I was one of these people who's speaking against what's happened and what's going on, and you don't got the security, you know, you got to always be alert. And when you're a top-level CEO, man, and if you think that you're in trouble, that you know too much, I mean, I feel like this guy was just too lackadaisical. If I was a high-level CEO, I'd be like, nah, I need a bodyguard. I'm sorry. He's just, boom, boom, I'm about to have a meeting today. Everything's fine. I'm in New York City. Game over. Okay? And then he did what he did, and he just, you know, and what's even crazier is that you had the bystander right there the whole time. Imagine being this woman, right? You're outside maybe. I used to go to that door to smoke cigarettes. I've hung out in that doorway, I can't even tell you how many times. And to see this video of such a high-level CEO, man, at a place that I used to just hang out all the time, crazy. So imagine that was me smoking a cigarette all of a sudden. I don't know what the fuck I would have done. And what's amazing to me is that this guy didn't take her out, you know? Like, that's amazing to me. Because usually you would think in the movies, you know, they don't want no witnesses, you know? And he goes in very calm, man. He's smooth. This is a pro. And he makes sure that he finishes the job. Not all this work and risk. And does he even run? He doesn't even run from what it looks like, man. Unreal. Crazy. Could you imagine if it was just a customer who's pissed? You know, these insurance companies love to not cover claims, man, and screw people over. A lot of them. Could it have been? Imagine it was one of these customers that never, like, they didn't pay for, like, their surgery to save their kid or something, you know? But I don't think that's what it is. I think homeboy knows too much. Things that happened since 2019 and maybe even before. Maybe about things that were supposed to come down the pipeline. Maybe people are really scared with all these pics that are going into Trump's cabinet and things that are about to surface that could destroy careers, lives, and a lot more. These people push buttons all the time. They don't care what happens to 50,000 people since last year, women and children. They don't care about going into nations of false pretenses. That's the type of world we live in, folks. What's one guy? If that's the type of stuff that might be involved. Again, this is all speculation. This is just my opinion. But I think it's related to that, in my opinion. So, and people are ruthless on X. If you look at some of the comments, you know, they're accusing this one of knowing. She's already on front and center. People are making comments about certain things about her. You could research offline. You could read these threads on X. I can't for various reasons. People are saying things right here. If you can read it, They believe that certain side that didn't win this, didn't win in November, that side has something to do with it. I don't know. Again, this is speculation on the internet. I'm just reading the comments. This is purely for entertainment purposes. I'm not here to enlighten you or open your eyes. It's just for fun. It's just comedy. It's just funny. Yeah, I'm not implying that that's what happened. United HealthCare CEO Brian Thompson, right? And everyone is showing like some type of trades and a lot of money. And I wonder if it's true. So, crazy time we're living in. Wife of United HealthCare CEO Brian Thompson says her husband had been receiving some threats prior to the shooting. This is in the New York Post 6 hours ago. Why would you not be more cautious, man? You're a high-level exec. You're making millions. You're a millionaire if you're the CEO of that. Unreal what's going on. And that is correct. There was a massive silencer on it. This is from G-Tron. So even the tech and the hardware, it was no joke. Now, one person here on X wrote, hope your family gets stuck with huge bill for the emergency hospital visit after you were gunned down. How do these kinds of people sleep at night? They didn't have no bill, I promise you. That guy was delivered straight to the morgue. This dude was finished. This guy was done. This person that did what he did knew what he was doing. This guy was no joke. No joke. We look at the comments here. Anything else here that's interesting? People just memeing the hell out of it. It's crazy. Mike Tomolo, this is a paid assassin. CEOs don't get randomly shot. This was planned and executed through design. It just so happened that the CEO of United HealthCare gets shot and killed. I don't think so. $1 trillion industry. And I agree. This guy writes, this might make me radical, but I think we need a lot more. No, it does make you a little radical to wish the demise of people, man. Wild times we're living in. Shout out to Julian P. Thank you for the support. Don't be scared to hit that super chat. It helps us, folks. You can highlight a question. I'll probably respond to it. We could use the help here. We're trying to stay alive. Top 5% of Spotify with no sponsorship, no help, nothing, just you, my friends. So that's enough for that story. I found this to be interesting too. Charlamagne, the God. I refuse to call him that. There's only one God. Charlamagne clashes with Whoopi Goldberg over Biden's pardon of Hunter. He just changed his mind.
I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything.
Exactly. He would have been better off saying, I don't know yet. I haven't determined yet. People are not letting this one go. And I'm glad that it's getting backlash from the left also because we need to call out hypocrites. I don't care how much you don't agree with another side in politics. When you are lied to, when they're playing with you, man. Like, wake up.
Incoming.
Wake up. Chinese espionage campaign scooped up data on thousands of U.S. mobile phone users. My friends, we are in fifth generational warfare. I don't know how else to tell you. In my opinion, I'm starting to think September, 24 years ago is really when World War III started, but it was fifth generational warfare, in my opinion. It wasn't an all-out war. It was in pockets. It was here. It was there. Freedoms eroded. Privacy eroded. Americans lost a lot. We have not won. The American people, the politicians, they're good. The American people have been losing for the last quarter century. Rights, privileges, all kinds of things. Our money being sent billions and trillions like nothing. It's been a very volatile 24 years for the American people, and I think they're finally waking up. I think they finally had enough. I think both left and right as far as conflict. And when I say left and right, I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the actual people are sick of it. U.S. officials suspect that a recently discovered Chinese hacking and espionage campaign scooped up data on hundreds of thousands of American mobile phone users likely stealing information about more than 1 million customers. Now, what's bad about this, folks? You got something on your text messages, you're writing stuff, they can get a whole profile on you, the way you think. They can put the responses in AI. There's so much that can be extracted to tell the enemy about you or about your people or what's on their mind. Or, if I have 1 million people, what is 1 million people talking about when they think no one else can see it? But I promise you, if you're putting it into a device, there's always someone that can see it. Ask any law enforcement expert. They can get the records, the text, everything. So be careful. And especially if you're doing this, be really careful. Sources familiar with the investigation gave ABC News a detailed sense of the vast scope of what U.S. officials are calling a major intelligence gathering operation by China, exploiting weaknesses in the communication networks of the nation's top telecommunication companies. In my opinion, the Chinese never got over the Opium Wars, even though that was with the British. It was them, because at that time, the Brits were the head of the West until America took the crown to become the superpower of the world. And these are a methodical people who have had dynasties for thousands of years. They have a hive mentality. They've been playing chess for the last 100 years as they have gained their power and technology to get into a position of, I think one day they will be in an all-out hot war with this country, is my true, honest opinion. And we were sold out by so many politicians who sent our men and women to lose their lives in Korea and Vietnam and then turned the mother of all commies into a superpower when we were sending them grain and food in the 60s before Nixon, in my opinion, the traitor, opened the back door to China. China! My heart goes out to the people that were sent to Vietnam and Korea. Not that it was a total loss in Korea, right? We wouldn't have had the South if America didn't step in. And like I said, yesterday's episode, I think that video is going viral right now, by the way. I love the Koreans, man. I love them. They're like Asian Albanians in a way, kind of. They're a little more polite than we are, though. We could be a little rowdy if you mess with us. I was happy to see this news. Johnson rejects Biden request for $24 billion on a new Ukraine aid. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday. And again, I know if you're Ukrainian, I just don't want you to take this the wrong way. I feel horrible for the people in Ukraine that are innocent, that are losing their life, that are trying to defend their nation and their whatever. I don't want my country to be in a position to go to World War III and my son being drafted because of you guys. I'm sorry. It's not personal. I am for Ukraine fighting for its freedom. You got more help than anyone ever got. My people went to war with nothing, with some World War II AK-47s that half of them didn't even work. And they didn't get any help. The Bosnians didn't get any help. They had an arms embargo. And we've sent you trillions of dollars. Like, you're on your own at this point, man. Either finish it or not. But we don't need an escalation. Israeli forces in Khan Yunus area of South Gaza, 47 people eliminated again today. Syria government forces battle opposition fighters near city of Hama. They have a counteroffensive, has pushed back opposition fighters attempting to advance to the strategic central city of Hama, while opposition forces say they captured more Syrian troops and Iran-backed fighters. Isn't it funny how it calms down in 1 second and then over there it's 1 second? One conflict ends and then all of a sudden it just fires up out of nowhere. Not by accident. You haven't heard about Syria in years, really, except a couple bombings that you know which country recently with everything that's going on. But I believe that the Middle East is ripe for an all-out war. I believe the people of the Middle East will get so tired that eventually there will be some type of unity and there will be a massive awakening in the Middle East in the next, I think, 2 to 5 years maximum. I believe we are entering critical times in humanity, and biblical and Quranic prophecy is happening right before your eyes. I used to read about these things as a young boy and have seen so many of these signs come to fruition in our society and the world that we live in. It's just mind-blowing to me. And if I was a betting man, I believe, if you believe in God, if you believe in the prophecies of Christianity and Islam and Judaism, that we have entered the final era of humanity, but God knows best. And what I mean by that, it could be 5 years from now, it could be 50 years from now. Even 100 years is nothing, folks. But the amount of degeneracy I see, I don't see how we don't keep degenerating the way we're going, unless there's a great awakening, which I believe we're in right now. I just hope we can push it back a couple more generations for the sake of our children. Because if it starts, what comes after it, my friends, if the Great War begins, what comes after that is suffering on this earth beyond your wildest nightmares, to the point where you will wish you were not on this earth. I, as someone who have prayed my entire life, God, if the Antichrist is coming, if we are in end times, please take me and my family before they come. Some denominations of Christianity, they pray for rapture, to be taken before Christ returns, peace be upon him. We are living in interesting nights and interesting times. Global investigation exposes alleged billion-dollar Russian money laundering network. UK and foreign law enforcement agencies say networks laundered cash and cryptocurrencies for organized crime gangs across the West. Operatives said to be behind a billion-dollar Russian money laundering network, reported by The Guardian, have been sanctioned and arrested in coordinated international investigation led by the National Crime Agency. The UK law enforcement body, which tackles serious and organized crime, said the actions constituted the most significant money laundering operation it had undertaken in the past few years. The agency added that the scheme had serious real-life implications as it was directly linked to laundering drug money made on the streets of the UK. In total, Operation Destabilize identified the alleged heads of the laundering networks and resulted in the arrest of 84 people plus the seizing of more than $20 million in cash and cryptocurrency. Rob Jones, the NCA's Director General of Operations, said Operation Destabilize has exposed billion-dollar money laundering networks operating in a way previously unknown to international law enforcement or regulators. And it's always this game of technology and new methods to stay ahead of each other and law enforcement and back and forth and being creative as criminals. But it will get much harder, I think, in the future when the crypto world takes over completely. Police quiz UK nurse convicted of taking the life of 7 babies over more infant death. British detectives questioned nurse Lucy Letby, who was serving life in prison for killing 7 babies over the deaths of several more infants. Cheshire police said Wednesday that Letby had questioned in prison over baby deaths and non-fatal collapses. The force said Letby was interviewed under caution, meaning the interview was recorded and can be used in future prosecutions. The 34-year-old nurse was sentenced to life with no chance of release. What sick people live in this world, man? What sick people? You are safe nowhere. You must be vigilant everywhere. You're not even safe in the hospital with your babies. That is the world we live in. You must be vigilant. You must be listening. You must ask questions when you're in hospitals. And don't just always go with the flow. And if you didn't learn that in 2019, put your covering back on, keep taking what they tell you to, and let's see how things are working out for you in a couple of years. Because I promise you, it won't be good. We got to turn down the settings on these bots in here. I know they're annoying. I'm just trying to find the right settings. So hang in there, my audience. I love you. Terrifying. Now, this is a disturbing, okay? A disturbing story. Terrifying, because I think, and I've said this throughout the years, another one's going to come. I don't know when, I don't know how, but very soon, and everything's, it's the only card left, in my opinion, if you believe as I do, about what's out there and what could be coming. And people that might have been responsible for what happened to this guy today in New York City, and maybe they got some type of plan, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Who do I trust? Me. A terrifying new flu-like disease has killed 179 people, mostly teens. Okay, that's a very young demographic that has strong immune systems. And health officials have no idea what it is. Okay, this is not cool. Strange new illness festering in the heart of Africa, this is reported by the Post, has killed 179 people and counting. Most of the victims are teenagers. The unidentified disease has infected at least 300 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Close the fucking border down. Let's not even wait. Close the fucking border down between us and them now until we figure this out. The unidentified disease has infected at least 300 people, the Congo, since November 10, okay? That's less than a month, causing flu-like symptoms, including fever, headaches, coughing, breathing difficulties, and anemia. Most of the dead have been between 16 and 18. That's a very strong demographic. Something like this would rip through humanity. The government has dispatched a medical team to Congo province, where the disease is most common. The government has urged citizens to stay calm. Just stay calm. It's okay. Your teenagers are going to die, but it's okay. It's okay. Just stay calm. Panzi is a rural health zone, so there is a problem with the supply of medicines. The Democratic Republic of Congo is a hotbed for dangerous diseases, including Ebola and more recently Mpox. And that's, I've been reporting these all these different outbreaks they've been having. I say, no offense, man. If you're from Congo, I love you, man. It's time that we just got to, I'm sorry, man. You guys got to figure this out. Mpox, this, like, you guys, I'm sorry. On behalf of the world, on behalf of humanity, we got to isolate you. If it was up to me, I would push the button until we figure it out. Sorry. We can't afford that type of chaos on the earth. Research shows more than 150 million mental diagnoses may be linked to lead in gasoline. A history of lead in gasoline may be behind tens of millions of mental health conditions. We've shifted the curve in the population for mental health problems so that everyone has a greater liability in the mental illness symptoms, and that some people who were already at risk are going to develop diagnosable disorders sooner, more often, or more kinds. The study published Wednesday, this is reported by CNN Health, in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry, estimates that about 151 million mental disorder diagnoses in the U.S. are attributable to lead. The exposure likely would not have happened had lead not been in gasoline. Cars ran on gasoline containing lead during the 20s, and the U.S. did not start phasing out the substance until the 80s. After substantial evidence of harm over the decades, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, leaded gasoline continues to fuel some planes, race cars, and farm and marine equipment. The people who were exposed are not in the history books. Millions of Americans are walking around with an unknown, invisible history of lead exposure that has likely influenced for the worse how they think, feel, and behave. And I'm sure at that time they trusted, the government. They're going to protect us and they're going to do tests. And this has happened throughout history. And people just trust too much. And interesting story. This dude, Hegseth, he was just on Megyn Kelly, and I just want to play a couple excerpts here. He's trying to get squeezed through, to be a part of the Trump cabinet. Let's see what he said.
They voted for the change that Donald Trump is going to bring. And they knew in the picks that he's made, he's bringing in change agents. If you wanted another general or another admiral or an executive or a CEO or a politician or a lawyer to run the Defense Department, we've tried that before. He said, I want a warfighter. I want lethality, lethality, lethality. I want readiness, accountability, standards, warfighting. Pete, that's you, that's me, clean house of the woke crap. All that stuff, all the climate stuff and the CRT and the DEI and the genderism and get rid of it. Let's bring the Pentagon back to the people, the people's Pentagon for warfighters. And that's the message he gave to me that I've projected back to senators, and it resonates. When I get a chance to sit down, especially with these senators from the Senate.
Massive change coming. The only thing I don't like about this guy is he supports 100% what's happening overseas right now. And for that shows no humanity to me. And that's who's going to be in charge of the military. That's the only thing I don't like. But as far as getting all that woke stuff out of there, you shouldn't have any standing army with that type of nonsense going on. It's a fucking joke. Billy Carson. Oh, Billy Carson, you and the aliens, man. This has been breaking news for those of you that are into the whole alien, and Billy Carson's the new prophet of the new age movement of the recent times. And I've called him out, but I don't have to anymore because Wes Huff, has called him out. And Wes Huff is a Christian scholar. And I haven't had time to go through the entire video that they were not going to release. Like I've said, in my humble opinion, I don't think Billy Carson really cares about any of this stuff. And I'm not saying he's dumb. He's very well spoken. I think it was always just about the business and the money for him. And let's play a couple clips now. And let's get into this.
According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically? Refer to the Sinai Bible. Would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus, like the codex that comes? Okay, that's why I was trying to get some clarification, because I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because Sinaiticus in particular is just a 4th century Greek manuscript. Its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. When you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there, I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up Matthew 27. Where it has Jesus being crucified. And that's in Codex Sinaiticus or John 19 or any of the other ones. So my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently.
Where was that piece
I found
discovered?
the text where I was referencing, actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas. Never got crucified. As a matter of fact, the Sinai Bible, Jesus was crucified. Well, that doesn't exist in the Sinai Bible. The Sinai Bible. The Sinai Bible. But then you go to the Sinai Bible, in the Sinai Bible, and the Sinai Bible.
Listen, I'm going to be very fair here with this, okay? I speak about the same subject matter as Billy Carson. I take the more spiritual approach. I do not believe in his nonsense at all. It's fucking nonsense. We were not altered by aliens, okay? We were altered by God. I believe humanity, we were much taller. We were giants. Before the great flood of Noah, God destroyed the earth and he shortened the lifespan of humanity to make it more easy for us to pass this test that we so miserably fail all the time, like to be a good person. What I believe is this. He could have used that excuse, oh, I misquoted it, but not when you're undocumented 100 times. Now, have I done that? I've made mistakes. I don't claim to know it all. I say on the podcast, I make mistakes sometimes. I can mix things up, dates and names. Sometimes it happens occasionally. The brain jogs, you know? So, for example, when I went on, I think it was Danny Jones or Julian Dore podcast, I said that, you know, Jesus is like the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. Peace and blessings be upon him. That was inaccurate. It's actually Moses. And I knew I made that mistake, but I can't go back and edit it out, right? But you're not going to catch me making that same mistake 100 different times. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you can mix up a name here and there, and that happens. That's normal. No one is perfect. I don't care who you are. You do it yourselves. You slip up, you mix a name. That happens. As you see in this clip, he's quoted over and over. You can't make that same mistake every time unless you have no knowledge of it.
Bible, in the Sinai Bible, and the Sinai Bible. According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
Yeah, actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there.
So, interesting, man. Interesting what's going on. Now, supposedly there's a leaked video. Let's see this.
We did a stream a couple days ago that bleeped out a bunch of references to something that Billy Carson did regarding another creator. Now, some people are very upset. Ruslan, why did you bleep out all the words? Billy Carson is completely losing it. He is melting down. And his former shorts editor, YouTube editor, Anton, dropped this video exposing Billy Carson. It's called the video you don't want Billy to see. If you want to know what we bleeped out, I'm not going to bleep it out this time. I'm going to let Anton tell you.
I've never seen dancing in a debate. Come on, man.
And you got to be real. All this dancing around the bushes, you know what, guys, I'm forbidden knowledge. I don't dance around the bushes.
Now, what's happening? Anton set up this debate with Wes Huff and Billy Carson. Billy Carson has this debate with Wes. Wes completely obliterates him. I'm not reacting to the debate yet, but I will soon enough. Billy threatens the moderator. But this is some of the crazy stuff Billy's saying. He says he issued a challenge. No Christian pastors would debate him. He finally gets a debate, and he just goes nuclear and is trying to sue people and take people down. I think he's threatening Anton with a lawsuit for this. So
yeah, I mean, if you were in it for the knowledge and not the money, you would have these debates. You wouldn't be trying to sue everyone and silence them. And even if you made mistakes, Billy boy, you would go into a debate and acknowledge the mistakes you made and then recover from it. When you're telling the truth, it's a very easy thing to do. But clearly you didn't have simple knowledge of even what Bible you were quoting. I mean, these are simple things. And you said the same thing wrong a million times, which means you weren't misquoting. You were completely delusional on that subject, in my opinion. And people, man, it's about money, man, in my opinion. It's about the money, man. That's the energy I get from this dude.
This is all alleged. I don't know if any of this is true. This is all alleged. This is all what's being said.
Yeah, this is alleged, you know. Please don't sue me, Billy. I'm just reporting what they're reporting about what they were reporting. This is not even my opinion. My only opinion is I don't think you had any idea of what Bible you were quoting that entire time you were talking about that subject matter, which clearly was just proven. Other than that, I don't have an opinion, Billy. I just think your theories are nonsense. That's my opinion. I think your beliefs are nonsense. Period. I think your lectures are designed to generate as much money, and because so many people have not really studied a lot of these subjects intensely, and they're looking for the answer. They think aliens and all this stuff, it sounds cool. It's attractive to people because Santa Claus is getting boring, I guess, you know?
And we'll look at some evidence here in a second. But Anton is trying to humanize him, and he's trying to explain why he thinks Billy hates Christianity.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. He says some things here I actually don't agree with him on, but let's just let him flesh this out.
That's not who I am. You already know that. That's why y'all come to my rants, because I don't dance.
It's funny. I was on a podcast with someone. We filmed 4 hours. And in my opinion, I leveled him in that podcast, including him. I leveled him and the guy that was hosting it. And he never released it. A 4-hour podcast. I flew all the way to Florida, knocked out this podcast, and he never released it. The same way he's being accused of not wanting this episode to come out, which is what the host of the podcast said. He didn't want it released. And he threatened him. He still released it. He's like, fuck it. Because he probably figured, you know what? The amount of attention this is going to get, it's going to make me bigger, more famous. Fuck it. He released the whole podcast. I guess it's a reoccurring thing. I guess when someone spits that fire with facts, with quotes, with books, with knowledge, they don't release the episodes. They don't want them released, or they don't release them, I guess. I had a very intense podcast in Florida. We got into God. Is there a God? I was with people that don't judge people. They're open-minded. If you didn't judge, then why didn't you judge not to release the episode? So for those of you that follow me, there was a podcast that should have been released 2 months ago. I'm going to give courtesy to the person. It never aired. I never played it, but I find it to be very inauthentic. Someone that was claiming to be open-minded and, if you're open-minded about very serious subjects, let it roll. I never not aired a podcast. The only time I've ever snipped a podcast out is if something came out grossly wrong that could have been extremely offensive to a group of people. It's the only time I've ever cut something. Something just came out really wrong, But I will always have those talks. I won't back down from debate, even though I find debate to be harmful, and I don't think I need to debate to prove anything. But I will address lies and accusations, and I will make reaction videos going forward where I'm going to pull up some of Sam. I haven't forgot about Sam Shimon. I'll get to him soon. Don't worry. And it's not about who's right or wrong. It's just, if you're going to propagate complete nonsense, I'm going to address it. That's it. The gloves are off, bro. But I'm glad I didn't have to, because I was going to start making some series about all of his stuff. I guess I'm a little late to the dance. I mean, I addressed this. I have an episode on here. It's called The Age of Mass Deception. His picture's on the thumbnail. Go watch the episode. And I explained to you why I think he's nothing more than someone that is a reinvented version of Aleister Crowley. Those same tactics, using those types of, explanations for the world and trying to deceive people and make money, in my opinion. Listen, there's a lot of religious organizations that do that too. They use faith as the forefront, and it's all about the money, these wealth preachers, and they're no worse or better than him, in my opinion. And I'm sorry if you follow them, but they've been caught over and over, especially the ones in the name of Jesus. They've been caught 1,000,000 times scheming, desperate people, man, that just want hope, that just want a miracle to happen because their kid's sick. And that to me is disgusting. You're the lowest type of criminal to do that, to prey on people that are looking for hope. And that's what it is.
I'm going to give it to you like it is, whether you like it or not.
Give it to us. Give it, Billy.
Give it to you like it is, period.
You're going to give it to us like it is, but you won't give it to Wesley like it is because you can't.
And I'm telling you right now, the Christians on this planet are responsible for half the problems we got.
The Christians on this planet are responsible for half the problems we got. That's a crazy claim, dude. What is your issue with Christians?
Listen, I'm a Muslim, and Christians and Muslims, they had their battles, right? But I don't blame Christianity or Islam. I blame the leaders. You understand? You can't blame the Christian faith. I mean, that statement I never heard. This is the first time I've heard Billy Carson say something like that. So I have not watched a ton of his work. I got to be very honest with you. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I usually, this is a great sci-fi movie, but it's not true. But I find it kind of refreshing. I'm just reacting. This is a reaction at this point. It's not even, I'm just reacting to the content of them reacting to his content, of their opinion and my opinion of their opinion. Please don't sue me, Billy Carson. Please don't sue me.
This is my conspiracy. Why I think Billy goes so above and beyond to try to make Christianity not seem legit.
Off the chandeliers, they don't got flags. They don't.
So I don't want to spend too much time on this because I am going to actually do probably a full episode and a deep dive, and I'm going to pull up that debate and I'm going to release that episode separately. This is the Interesting Times podcast. I cover all the news, things that are exciting or interesting or sad or whatever it is. So it was a quick episode. There was a lot of big news today, but not a lot of different stuff than what I covered yesterday. I think this is the most important stuff out there right now. Although I would like to check on maybe what's going on in Korea right now. Let's see if things have calmed down there since the proposed martial law. So Korean Americans in North Jersey react to martial law. South Korea martial law lifted. South Korea President Yoon faces impeachment. Okay, so he's finished pretty much. So that's about it, folks. There's not too much going on out there. I do have an episode I need to release. I'm late with it, but I've just been overwhelmed. There's a lot going on in my life. I have an episode with the comedian Robbie Bernstein. He has a phenomenal podcast, very similar to this style that I do. And he's friends with the Legions of Skanks, and he's a really fast and growing comic. He leans very heavy to the right. And we had a really dope conversation. I might even release it tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to try to release it tonight, actually. That'll be on my other channel, and I will release it on this channel eventually, but I want to start releasing The Comeback Team. That is my other YouTube channel. I will be doing interviews with the most fascinating people in the world. We will have amazing conversations about everything from life to faith to business to everything. It's a podcast about life, and most of it is about overcoming crazy things. Or, on the first season, we had the fiance of the lone survivor. We had Carol Baskin of Tiger King. We had Rachel Ray. We had Havoc of Mobb Deep. We had mobsters. We had all walks of life. People who have been through your worst nightmare. So make sure you go and check out those archives on the YouTube channel. It's under the playlist, The Comeback Team. You have hundreds of full episodes. I had cast members from The Sopranos, from Boardwalk Empire, models and bottles, and you name it. And I can't wait to start doing that work again. I'm also going to be interviewing a woman by the name of Michaela, and she was actually above the floors of those buildings in New York that came down on that September day, and she was above the impact zone, which I didn't think anyone ever made it out after that. She made it out. I never knew that. She's going to be on the show, and that's going to be an awesome episode, and I can't wait to do it. So I hope that, everything works out for everybody. We're in extremely volatile times. There's a lot of big people. I've said this in the past, 6 months ago, a year ago. What we are witnessing is a battle between the most powerful people in the world. Some of them want to completely dominate the earth. Others are like, I don't want to live in a world like that. I'm going to use my money to fight you. And that is what is happening right now. Hopefully there's some good guys up there, man, and girls. Hopefully at that level of this Avengers versus whatever it is, this massive global battle for control of the world, technology, the future, space, money, currency, even your kids' private parts are on the line. We are living in end times. We are living in interesting times. And I pray the good people win and those that just want to let everyone have a shot at having a normal life. There's a lot coming to fruition, so please be ready. Make sure you hit the sub button. This is your boy, Beck Lover, and I see you in the comments, Trent and Taljin and Vadim the Machine, who was also on my show, by the way. Vadim the Machine, very interesting episode with that man. He was born on one of the coldest places on the face of the planet. A very fascinating episode, very fascinating guest. Check out Vadim the Machine. Brian Beck, all the usuals. All of you, thank you for tuning in. This is your boy, Beck Lover, and we'll see you on the next episode. I'm going to probably release that podcast tonight with Robbie Bernstein. I promised him I would. I'm just a little backed up with work. Nothing personal, Robbie. We got love for you here at the Comeback Team Studios. Never surrender. Never fall into despair, because no matter what you've been through, you can always make a comeback. This is Beck Lover signing off on this cold New York night. Toodaloo!
Beck Lover.
Or interesting or is the largest hotel in New York City. The Hilton